Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, H.R. 8, the Water Resource Development Act of 2018, builds upon some of the successful policy reforms that were included in the 2007 and 2014 bills, 2016 bills. Three important policy reform bills that have occurred over the last several years. H.R. 8 is a bipartisan bill that was developed by working across the aisle to ensure that we're advancing common goals that are vital to investing in the future of America. This bill is going to help to advance our water, transportation networks to promote competitiveness, prosperity, and economic growth in the United States. It continues the trend, and Mr. Chairman, I do want to thank you very much for this, the two-year trend, which I think is critical, ensuring that we don't stall, that we don't delay many of these important water resource projects by having, as we saw in the past, 7-year gaps between bills. And under your leadership, bills have come up in 2014, 2016, and again here in 2018. The committee has held numerous roundtables, hearings, and other discussions with stakeholders across the United States, and I want to be clear on that, including going out into the field, going out into other states and areas, including Oregon, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and other places to ensure that we're getting feedback from people on the ground. Mr. Chairman, one of the biggest challenges when you look at what's happening right now, one of the biggest challenges we face is that we have extraordinary need across the country in regard to water resources development. That is clearly told in the fact that we have a $100 billion backlog in water resource projects. These are projects such as deepening navigation channels to ensure that we can maintain competitiveness, that we can stay in sync with trends that we're seeing across the world in regard to deeper vessels, deeper draft vessels, wider vessels. We now have a Panama Canal that is wider and deeper than by far majority of our ships, our ports and harbors across the United States. We need to make sure that we stay in sync. How is it that the Panamanian government is able to come in and widen and deepen its locks and navigation channels through the entire canal while we're not even able to deepen hardly any of our ports and harbors in the United States to maintain sync? We're stepping in over and over again and spending billions of dollars after disasters, as we saw in the 2017 hurricane aftermath, as opposed to stepping forward and being proactive and leaning forward to ensure that these communities are resilient, that our ecosystems are resilient. This bill takes steps in the right direction, and I want to thank Mr. DeFazio and his team for continuing to be steadfast in the support for the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund. This bill locks in those dollars. I think it is an important step building upon the successes of legislative victories in the past. The diversion of dollars is absolutely inappropriate. This bill also looks at whether the Corps of Engineers is actually in the best agency. I'm not sure if you were asked today to come up with a water resource mission within the federal government, you would say, you bet, we'll put that in our Department of Defense. I'm not sure that I want to have to call Secretary Mattis, who should be focused on North Korea, Iran, Syria, Iraq, and many other challenges across the globe when we're having a problem with a wetlands permit. I want him focused on those priorities rather than focused on what's going on with wetlands. So this bill does include a study having the national academies taking a look at where that's best housed to ensure that this $100 billion backlog can be addressed. It provides processes for non-federal sponsors to step forward and carry these projects out in a more efficient manner. It looks at cost-to-benefit ratios and other challenges to make sure that we're truly valuing taxpayer dollars the way we should in prioritizing these limited dollars in a way that's going to make sure that we're returning the best bang for the buck for American taxpayers with limited dollars. Section 122 of the bill provides for discrete segments. It allows for streamlined agreements. We also have provisions in the bill that allow for non-federal sponsors effectively to use the federal permitting and regulatory process that the Corps of Engineers uses instead of making them go back and carry out redundant processes. At the end of the day, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you. I want to thank Mr. DeFazio, Mr. Napolitano for working together with us in a bipartisan manner to make sure that this bill can move forward. I think there's more work to be done, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you in the floor and through this process to ensure we take advantage of all efficiencies that are available to us.
I thank the gentleman for his explanation and for his hard work on helping to craft this bill. With that,